We're back. We're delayed. We're back with episode. It's not three, it's four. Episode four of the test reviews. Don't know how
Yeah,
many pods it is. Yeah.
yeah,
Quality planning. We're back. We're here reviewing the Headingley test, which finished a few days ago now, but I was away and I also may have forgot. Um, but we're back with a review. Hello, Jamie. How excited and happy are you that England won a game and the Ashes are alive? Maybe.
I am very happy we won, but I'm
Hmm.
slightly annoyed because now I have to
Oh,
change the thumbnail for the YouTube video.
yeah. You now got to put a one in there instead.
Well,
Yeah.
I've got to change the little color on the
Oh,
little
yeah. Of course.
thing at
Yeah.
the
Gonna change it. Yeah,
bottom.
that's gonna be fun.
It's
Excited to see that.
going to be well annoying. It should be very simple, and Publisher's going to make it very bitchy.
Probably. But look forward to that on our YouTube. So probably watching it on YouTube if you're seeing our faces. But yeah, England have won the third test. By so keeping the five-match series alive and kicking. Obviously, if they'd lost, it'd been 3-0, and that's that. And it would have been a very sour, dour end to an Ashes to then have two more tests to struggle through. But for the time being, for the next game at least, it is on. Shall we do our classic, incredible, well thought out research podcast of going through innings by innings by looking at the scorecard?
I don't understand why we need to change the format.
No. That'd be a curveball. If England lost, we'd have done a massive change.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, we'll start off. We'll kick it off then. So, this feels like months ago. That Bairstow run out feels like last year. um, or stumping. Sorry. So yes, England made three changes from the side that lost at Lords. They left out Anderson for rotation reasons, Pope for injury reasons, and who was the other? Tongue for rotation reasons, apparently. And they brought in Moeen Ali, Mark Wood, and Chris Woakes. And spoilers, they all had an impact. So for the first innings, we'll bounce off. Well, England won the toss, putting Australia into bowl on a pitch that definitely was the best pitch of the series, I think, so far. It was very fast, very bouncy. It was just quite exciting cricket. While I think sometimes the last two tests, there have been moments where the pitch is not done a lot and it's felt a bit dead. But this one it kind of kept bouncing throughout. Australia were 263 all out. The two main talking points are Mitch Marsh on his return coming in for Cam Green, scoring 118, a runner ball 118. Looked like he'd never been away. Looked like probably the best batter of the test, if I'm honest. And
One sec.
oh, spoilers! What's happening?
Oh, I think some parents were trying to tell me something which I obviously can't hear.
They wanted to tell you that Mitch Marsh scored a run ball 118.
Yeah, what?
Yeah. So for Jamie and our listeners at home, if you want to hear that again, it's Australia 263 all out. Mitch Marsh 118 run a ball, and Mark Wood 5 for 34 being the standouts. As you're so in the zone, what
Mhm.
were your thoughts about this first innings?
I think I think England started the first session really well. I think Wokes and Wood made a noticeable impact. Like we've struggled to get Khawaja out or have any sort of plan to him throughout the series so far. And Wood was just straight on pace, got movement as well, and just knocked him out.
Yeah,
Like the rest of Wood's wickets weren't top order, but having him on for the tail end was such a massive game changer. We've missed pace this series and in previous series, even under McCullum. You can just see the difference. You can see the mentality of the batsman change when he's on as well. Just a massive difference.
the extra yard, isn't it? I think Australia lost 6 for 23, I think, at the end. because it was a big. This is another test which is just a seesaw where you just couldn't
Mhm.
you couldn't predict really, kind of again right near to the end where it's going to go. Because England, like you say, started off really well. I think having Chris Woakes and Mark Wood and added that kind of freshness to the attack. I would say they looked like that almost as if England but a bit tired after 2 tests at Lords and stuff, but they both looked right up for it. I think Woakes finishing 3 for 73. The figures don't really reflect how well he bowled because he had a bit of tap from Mitchell Marsh, who played really, really well. But yeah, he got key wickets, got Labuschagne out, Travis Head obviously is always crucial, and then eventually got the breakthrough for Marsh. But yeah, Wood was just pace as he as he calls it, woohoo. It was it was just wheels, and he's always the most unassuming guy who bowls wheels because he's not massively tall, he's not really big built, he's just kind of a normal guy, but then bowls about 96.7 miles an hour. No, he was a great. It's just whenever you have real sheer fast bowling to watch, it just makes test matches and just cricket in general so much more captivating, I think, because you see like someone who like Pat Cummins, for example, was missed that ball by about, I don't know, 5 seconds. Like
It's
you
always
just
yeah,
see.
it's always more fun having those sort of fast bowlers as well, like Bumrah and Jofra. Like
Yeah,
they're just like ambling in, they're not looking that threatening on the run, and then it's just
yeah.
bullet.
I love that trajectory of like Wood, where he does. He's ever since he spoke, I think, to Michael Holding, and I think since I think it's March 2019, I think he averaged low 25, I think, in Test cricket or something. Since he changed his run up to be just a long run up rather, because he used to have a short one, but then he's extended it after talking to Michael Holding, who knows a thing or two a bit about pace. Um, and since then, he's just been a force to be reckoned with. He's every time he's been in the Test team, he's absolutely performed, kept his pace up all the time throughout the Test. It was always up there. It was always unsettling. Um, and just seeing like Khawaja being bowled, Stark being bowled at 95 plus miles an hour is just c'est magnifique. But yeah, he obviously had a terrific game, and that really helped set the tone because it felt like after that first session, which England dominated, they got 4 wickets, I believe. Yeah, they got Steve Smith out of on the cusp of lunch. They were 85 for 4. It felt like, this could be a nice, fun, easy win. I've never thought that. But then Mitch Marsh and Travis Head batted together really well. Head got 39, but yeah, Mitch Marsh's 118, pretty much all in an entire session, was just great. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed that innings from what I saw.
my entire notes on Mitch Marsh's first innings score are Mitch Marsh, what the fuck? What more can you like? He's
Yeah,
become like a straight replacement for Cameron Green.
yeah,
You're kind of expecting this similar sort of thing, and he just goes and does that. Like 17
yeah.
fours is mad.
Cameron Green could never.
Like I think they were doing a similar sort of tactic, England that is, was in the first innings and the second innings when Head and Marsh were on strike,
Yeah,
like short to Head because he's a bit
yeah,
taller and try and get it fuller to Marsh, but they never got it full enough to Marsh, and he's just hooking it and pulling it, and
yeah. And the power of some of the pulls as well, especially I think off Wokes, you absolutely like smashed it into the crowd a couple of times. It was just a incredible counter-attacking innings, and I think it's his first test since the last Ashes 2019. Where
and
he got 5 for it as well.
you say like Wood is a bit unassuming with his pace. Mitch Marsh,
Yeah,
you can tell Mitch Marsh can hit it.
yeah, just a bit. But yeah, I've always quite liked Mitch Marsh. He's just had a lot of injury plagues and stuff, and but then Cameron Green's kind of like jumped over in the pecking order. I think Australia have a bit of an awkward selection fought on their hands. If can they get both of them into the same team? You can't really drop Marsh after his good performance in this test, because that innings got Australia right back in it. Without that, you were looking at 150 all out. Like it was way Wood was bowling at that pace. Um, Definitely would have been a real blow past score, but he managed to bat along. But then obviously once he went, that's when the procession started. They lost 6 for 23. And like you say, it's quite nice and a rarity to see England just clean up the tail and don't worry about it. And obviously, yeah, Wood finishing for 5 of 34. Just a quick extras count. There were 23 extras. But yeah, less than I really noticed. So there were 3 no balls, and then 10 buys and 10 leg buys. But yeah, only 3 no balls, 2 which were bowled by Robinson, who went off after 11.2 overs injured.
So maybe
So
giving
yeah,
some credence to the fact that he was never fit to begin with,
potentially not.
because
Yeah,
he's
I
not
mean,
been bowling at
he'd come
full
back from injury.
pace, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I'd imagine he probably won't play rest of the series.
Yeah,
But yeah, so a bowler down for England, same way in Australia were down with Lyon last game. But yeah, only
I,
3 no balls.
you say the same, but it's not. I think Australia missed
I
Lyon.
mean, Robinson's been he's had 10 wickets in the first 2 tests, I
I think
think.
he's the third or fourth highest.
Which it doesn't
Uh,
seem it seems weird. I can't understand. But I guess Stark will be slowly getting up there now. But yeah, that was
yeah, I
bizarre.
think
But
Stark is second. I think Broad, Stark,
is Broad
Cummins.
Cummins? I don't know. I should maybe have checked these stats. I can do that
Uh,
live if you want me to.
I mean, it's live for you and me. No,
Yeah, live for you,
it'll.
not for anyone at home. You've got
Yeah,
to wait really awkwardly whilst I try and find out who are the leading statisticians, not statisticians, the leading run scorers and batters. Right, okay, right. So wicket takers, it is Broad is 16, Cummins 15, and then Stark is 13. So yeah,
which is
Stark 13 in 2 games is real good.
it's a bit mad.
Yeah, and yeah, he kind of almost like he should have. He'll play. I don't think Bowden's going to play another test now. We Hazelwood back in.
It definitely helps that there's like 9 days between the tests as well.
Hugely, yeah, for
For
both
both
teams.
teams,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But like, especially
absolutely.
because Australia have a really good rotation with their seam bowlers,
Yeah,
and primarily for Cummins, Stark, Hazelwood, for them to have
yeah,
basically a week and a half off, because
yeah,
they can go again and try and win the test match they need to win before it goes to the fifth match.
yeah, 100%. But yeah, at the same time, it also helps Wood. It's only a 4-day test. This one. Only had to bowl 11 overs in the first innings, and I think it was around 17 in the second innings. Obviously, did a job of the bat as well, but did hang around there. But yeah, 9 days off is going to help everyone. I think. I'd imagine it would just be Hazelwood in for Boland. But yeah, so we'll jump right in to the second innings. England 237 all out. Doesn't quite tell the story. Um, Mainly because it was looking quite ominous when it was 142 for 7. Stokes ending up top scoring with 80, and Pat Cummins getting 6 for 91. This was a concern until Stokes decided just to be God again.
I mean, it's not great. Like 2 innings in a row, you've had to rely on Stokes to get you close to what Australia,
Yeah,
not even
yeah,
over the line.
yeah. And pretty much injured everywhere on his body in this innings. Because I was able to see a little bit of this one because it kind of matched up with a bit of downtime. I was like, hooray! But yeah, he's basically on one leg. His glute was gone, knees gone. You can just sort of see him just hanging there. Every shot looked like it was causing pain.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, he wasn't fit enough to bowl in this game. That's why they played the extra bowler instead of playing Dan Lawrence. But yeah, the fact he's able to do that on one leg kind of really took the attack to Todd Murphy. It felt very 2019 Headingley vibes again. It felt very Lords 2023 vibes again. That when he just looks in form, he just still looks everything as good a cricketer as he's always been. It's just great to watch. I love watching him in full flow.
Yeah, when he gets that switch on, it's just
Yeah,
you can't not watch it. It's just
yeah,
great.
yeah. Like he hangs around long enough to be like, well, fine. I guess I'll just
Mm.
be, the standout player again, I suppose. Yeah, 6 4s, 5 6s. He's way ahead in the international Test 6 leaderboard now.
The
Which
only
is nuts.
leaderboard that matters.
Yeah, to McCullum. but yeah, before there's another batter I want to talk about, which because we talked about Stokes a lot last time, but again, 80 was absolutely crucial in terms of the game because it got the deficit down to I think 26, which even though you're still behind, it had massive momentum. There was another factor in that, but very quickly, Harry Brook batted at 3 in this innings, out for 3, which is nice. But then didn't obviously bat at 3 in the second innings. I guess this is almost a little bit of second innings chat, but do you think Brook will bat 3 at Manchester, or do you think? Because I don't think he is, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be Mo either.
I really don't know because England just completely changed the team to win, like even within a test match.
Yeah.
He changed Brook from 3 to 5, which was beneficial. And I think we said last time
massively.
We'd move Brook up to 3, and it might like help with his composure and concentration to not just like waft at things he doesn't need to. And I think that did prove to be the case. They just had to move him back to 5
so.
for that to like come to fruition. So no, I keep Brook.
He needed that innings, second innings.
I don't think Brook's position in the team is the one under fire. I think it's Bairstow.
Not Brook, no.
I think Bairstow's is the big
hugely.
one under fire, and whoever the hell we're going to put in at 3, which like if they're not going to play a proper spinner, you might as well just play Mo. Like he was, like Mo's not offering any more than what Mo previously in a test match. Like to be fair, if this innings, all of the batters other than Stokes and Wood, were a bit shite. They all lost their wickets. Stupid ways. Mo was predictably Mo. I think Duckett just
that was disappointing.
Fucking playing at balls, Ben. Come on. I think.
I would, because considering how well we played, I know he'll say that that's how I score runs, how I get it. But like Headingley, this pitch was obviously so much more different. You can leave. It is fine. No one's going to have a go.
Right. It's like, not I know it's
just have to look how quickly the ball's going through.
It's well annoying.
Yeah. So I think a disappointing one. But I was really disappointed with Mo. Because I thought he was batting really well in this innings and looked really composed, and he was like, "This is the innings that we need at this point to just bat with Ben, and then to then get away with one hook shot and then to fall the next one." It's just a bit like it's frustrating, but that's what you're going to get with Mo. They know that.
Yeah, I think there was something on the Sky punditry team that said like Stokes and McCullum don't like dictate what kind of shots the team play. They want them to play like a natural game, which is fine. But maybe they should dictate a little bit so that players don't play stupid fucking shots and lose their wicket very cheaply, like all of them apart from Stokes did.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of, you look at Brook, we'll get to Brook in a second, but I think he's definitely caught on a bit, being I can play in a different way and still score quickly. And I think if Stokes talks a lot about this team just having clarity in the way they bat. I think clarity can just be sometimes have a sensible head. I've just chipped one into the middle of these 3 fielders. Maybe next time I'll just swerve and just make sure I'm stuck in for a little bit. But one player who isn't ducking and swerving is Mark Wood, who scored a crucial, I would say, 24 of 8 balls, including 1 4 and 3 sixes, of a strike rate of 300. This was nuts.
I think I have similar notes on Mark Wood. No, similar, like similarly short, but it's just Wood lol.
Yeah.
I think that epitomizes.
I mean, he's been a good bat for a while. Yeah, I think so. He has batted very well last few years in Test cricket, but this one was just nuts. This is just silly. This is just like I think the first ball we hit went for six. There was one or two into a huge momentum shift. It's just that freedom, the clarity, that got England up and around ish to par, I think. And you just saw Stokes at the other end just laughing off because him and Wood have been friends, I think, for like 16 years, I think it is. So that's just got to be a fun feeling for him, just to be like, I don't worry about it. You can do it. But yeah, I really enjoyed that. It was just like that was the pure vibes that you needed and wanted. I think that's the Bazball that I enjoy.
Strike
The
rate of
absurdity.
300.
Yeah, gotta go better. 360 next time. But yeah, great, loved it. Cummins finishing 6 for 91. I think England did get out to him quite a lot, but he did bowl well. Stark bowled well again, getting 2 for. Tom Murphy got some tap. Got 1 for 36 in the end, but last few overs were expensive, but did obviously get Stokes out. So yeah, I think it was 26 the lead. Australia, their second innings were 224 all out, in a kind of an innings of two halves, because you had the end of day 2, was it? I think it's the end of day 2. And then the start of, or then in the evening of day 3 after it rained all day and it was gloomy and overcast, where England were able to kind of skittle out at the end. So you would say England got the better conditions there, but yeah, 224 all out. The day 2, what I'll note most, I think, we have mentioned him briefly, is Mo. He bowled 17 overs on the bounce, I believe, and got 2 for 34, including his 200th Test wicket, which was Steve Smith, which is a pretty good one. And he also got Labuschagne now.
100th game as well.
Yeah, he didn't have a good 100th game.
Oh well.
So it's big. You've got to capitalise. You know that both Labuschagne and Smith failed again in this test. And then England won it. You've got to have to capitalise on one. But yeah, I think, although the wickets of Labuschagne and Smith looked cheap, I think Mo bowled very well. In that it was a role he was able to basically do a job that isn't his job. He was able to dry and end up, especially since England didn't have Robinson in this innings, and no Stokes. You're basically down 2 bowlers. He needed to perform, and 17 overs, 2 for 34, going at 2 and over, I think is, the perfect job you'd want in this innings, especially when it looked like the game might be drifting away at 72 or 68 for 1. The 2 wickets of, I think they were pretty much in overs after each other, I think, of Labuschagne and Smith were massive in context of the game. How do you think he went?
I mean, thus is the perpetual quandary at Mo, isn't it?
Yeah.
He'll completely toss his wicket away and just do a pull shot, get dropped, do it again and get caught. And then he'll come back and bowl a great spell. He'll bowl proper good spin that jags and everything. And he got probably 2 of the most important wickets in this. Labuschagne was building. You can tell Smith in his 100th game, there's something brewing there. So to get him, again, even if they were a bit crap shots, they're still on the scorecard as Moeen Ali's wickets.
Yeah.
But he did a good job against the top order of Australia. So yeah, credit to him. It's just whether the general Mo-ness of Mo is worth keeping him in the team, which I wouldn't say is, because the general inconsistency.
I mean, if he can perform like that and that's his role.
Yes, but he hasn't been performing like that consistently throughout his Test career.
No.
And then has been recalled from retirement to do exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's he bowled well. He got 2 important wickets, but it's not.
Could it be a fact that he hasn't played red ball cricket for a while? This is now the 4th innings he's bowled in, that he's getting more into the groove of it again. I think the more you bowl, the better you're going to become. And I think less of a finger issue in this game, more overs under his belt, more of an understanding of his role. I don't know. It depends how he bowls in Manchester. But I mean, the key thing for me was that he was able to keep the runs down the way that Leach would sometimes, which is what Stokes desperately needed in this innings with no Robinson and himself. But we'll see. We'll see how Manchester goes, but it was promising. But yeah, quick notes is that Broad got Warner out twice in this game. In this innings, that was the 17th occasion. Just happens. You just expect it now. But then batting wise, Uzi got 43, batted well again until Woakes got him. Travis Head got an important kind of Stokes-esque 77, which felt kind of important at the time because it almost gave them momentum. Managed to get Marsh out for 28, but it was that afternoon evening session on day 3 after it rained all day where Woakes and Wood and Broad just bowled really well, apart from Head still smashing it about. They absolutely utilised those conditions, and Woakes, I think, especially showcased why he's almost undroppable in English conditions, I think.
Yeah, it shows how important the inclusion of Wood and Woakes were in this game. Like, Wood performed really well in the first innings, and then Woakes got his rewards in this second innings. I think Wood still got a couple, but the wickets were shared out pretty evenly by all the bowlers who were able to bowl.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it calls into question more the selection for the previous games about Woakes, especially not playing. You can have the argument for Wood, like trying to rotate him as Australia would their 3 seam bowlers. But there was a lot of talk about having Woakes in at Lords because he's played so well there before. His batting would have helped in that second innings when Stokes was having a mad one, rather than Stokes having to, or feeling like he had to take all of the strike. So especially in the first game when about half of the players were either coming back from injury or hadn't played Test match cricket for at least a year.
Yeah.
You could have easily put in Woakes for that first game and known you got a good game out of him, if not a match-winning performance, but he'd have done bits for you.
Yeah. He's always considered. He's reliable, isn't he? You know exactly what you're going to get from Woakes, and he's always going to deliver it, and he's always going to give it the best of his ability. Sometimes when the conditions don't favour him, he looks a bit, I don't know, pedestrian seems harsh, but like on an Australian wicket, for example, he might not get anything. He'd probably end up with no wickets in this game, as an example. Or sometimes he might not bat as well as he did in this game, but he would always give it his all. And in English conditions, he's got, I think, a better record than Anderson and Broad. So I can't see how you don't not play him in the last 2 games. And he also, especially given his runs down the bottom of the order as well, and his just all-round capabilities. But yeah, I think, Wood bowled well in this innings as well, but for me, Woakes was definitely the standout of this innings. So 6 wickets in the game. Was it? I think it was 6, wasn't it? Was a great return after not playing Test cricket in this Bazball era at all. Very happy for Woakesy. Fun, cool, right. So with no delay, we're going to go straight on to the next innings. England were set 251 to win. Spoilers, they obviously did it. Started well overnight. I think they were 27 for none. Duckett and Crawley batted pretty well at a good tempo. Just kind of put a big dent into an already small target. But yeah, then the next day, it wasn't quite an all-time classic like I'd say the Edgbaston day or obviously Headingley, but it still had its twists and turns and nerves and things like that. It was a good day cricket. Things to note, I think we'll talk about the main ones. Crawley got 44 and I thought batted very well, but is also continuing the new Crawley trend of get into the 40s and get out. but it's so frustrating because you just watch him, and I think in this series he looks really composed. It looks like he's really developed his game. He's leaving a lot more. But then he gets into 40s, and it's almost like I'm Crawley last year, I'm going to snick off again. It's like you've done all the hard work, and then it's just then undone by kind of old Crawleyisms. But I think he is improving. And I think they obviously will stick with him, but I think he's getting there.
He just needs results now because England have dropped like Lees and Denley
Yeah.
for similar things.
Yeah.
So how long can Crawley's like whatever 250 score against Pakistan keep him in the team? Because I think that's
3 years apparently.
yeah, like he is playing much better in this
Yeah.
series, but he's got to start converting at some point.
Yeah. No, I would agree. No, definitely. It is just a bit. I would say though it's from him being on the spotlight all the time, being like he's the one to watch. He needs to be doing better. He's almost gone out of the limelight a bit by being fairly consistently ish good.
Yeah.
Like he's averaging 30s this series. He is averaging, I think, more than Smith, more than Labuschagne, more than Warner, more than Bairstow.
I mean,
Um,
saying more than Warner and more than Bairstow
I
isn't
thought I'd just chuck those
it's
in. It's
not a
fun.
high bar, is it?
But he's, I mean, he's up there. He's only 3 less than Brooke, who obviously had a good innings. So I think him and Brooke have had similar series. Obviously Brooke went on to do the job in this innings and Crawley didn't, but I think it's a good stepping stone and a good start. And when he does look in form, he looks good, and I can understand why they're sticking with him. But yeah, Alex Lee's just scored 300s for Durham on the bounce now. And he's continuing to score in the way that they want him to score. So I imagine Lees will go on the winter tours wherever they be. But yeah, it'll be Crawley and Duckett for a little while. Main talking point, I think, early doors, is that Mo batted 3. Obviously, we spoke about it a bit before. I think the interesting bit out of this, I don't know whether it's more to cover up the fact that Brooke didn't want to bat there, is that Mo offered to bat at 3 because he wanted to impact the game more, which is what you want to see. And I think when Pope went down injured, I think you would prefer that a senior player to step up and say, "Okay, I'll take it. I'm experienced. I'll go there." Like a Root or a Bairstow, or a Mo, or a Stokes. Like I think that's what you're looking for is someone with experience. Be like, okay, it's not ideal, so I'll do it. Rather than just, Harry Brook, you go do it. Even though I think it's good for him to get that exposure, it's also good to see an experienced player step up when the other player doesn't want to do it. They're like, okay, cool, I'll do it, don't worry. And that's kind of the character of Mo. I think would happily do stuff for the team. He only got 5, but I didn't hate it when he came out.
No, like if anyone is going to come in at 3 in that situation, I think Mo fits the
Yeah,
best out of everyone else. Like you don't want to move Root or Stokes from
no,
their settled spots. Like Mo's batted pretty much every position for England
yeah,
so far. Like when he first came into the team, I think 3 would have been a good position for him to
that's where I used to bat
sort
at
of play
Worcester.
his
Yeah,
trade. Like,
yeah,
but like we've said before, he's been fucked around with the where he plays and what role he plays as.
and yeah,
So I
yeah,
think it's really big of him to take the responsibility of like I'm doing this role for the team
yeah,
just to
yeah,
get just to see what he can do there, just to help us out. And like
massively.
the 5 runs didn't turn out to be insignificant in the end. Like
No,
all
no,
of the runs were important to the run chase, and
Goswell,
both
yeah, the
are,
score run chase.
like 5 in any other scenario. Well, shit.
Yeah, yeah, he did take up 15 balls as well. That does take some sting out of the new ball and things like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, if he does bat the rest of the series, I think that'll be good, to be honest, and it helps balance the rest of the side quite nicely. You don't it doesn't look like too long a tail, because I feel like Mo's going to offer you as much at 3 as he would at 8, I think.
hmm
And he probably score them quicker early doors against the new ball, and he used to bat there anyway. So I mean, give him free license, give it a bit of a smash.
and I think
Have
especially if
fun.
Stokes isn't going to be bowling, I think
Yeah.
it showed a lot when Robinson went off injured, despite him not bowling
Mm.
well. Like the importance of having 5 bowlers who can bowl
Yeah.
regularly throughout the game.
Hugely.
So if you can just fit in Mo at 3, like he shouldn't have come back from retirement in the situation that it was. But now, given Pope's not going to be playing the rest of the series, it does make more sense to just slot him in at 3 now that he's here.
Yeah,
Because he can do both jobs.
absolutely. Yeah,
Fine enough.
definitely. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But it's also just quite nice to see him enjoy cricket and stuff again. That's why.
Yeah.
But I remember that India series. He looked like he hated it.
I think everyone did.
Yeah, I did. Um, and
India
it's just
didn't.
when he got his 200th wicket of Smith, you could just see the joy and elation, and everyone wanted him to do well. And when he came out to bat at 3, just the ovation he got as well, which is just like really nice. So yeah, I really want him to do well in the last 2 tests as well, because who doesn't love Mo in the same way most people love Woakes. Root out for 21, out to Cummins again. It is getting into kind of broad Warner territory. The amount of times Root is getting out to Cummins. But no one seems to want to really mention it.
To be fair, Root has been scoring better than Warner.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, but I would say he has been very quiet after his 100 at
Yeah,
Edgbaston.
I think this innings in particular, he was a bit shaky, a
bit frenetic.
yeah, just didn't find any rhythm really.
Yeah. But I think in the same way that Smith didn't perform at Edgbaston, but then obviously performed at Lords, you wouldn't be surprised if Root then performs next test.
Yeah.
He's just that kind of player. But he does feel like he does need a little score, which is weird to say after a guy who just scored 100 at Edgbaston. But anyhow, Stokes out for 13, which felt like a moment when he's kind of caught down the leg side, and then Bairstow followed shortly after, chopping on and a similar looking frenetic innings. And then England were 171 for 6. And I was on a lovely walk in Dorset at this point. And one of our mutual friends, we'll just call him Lord Ward for the podcast, just sent me like, rip Stokes and Bairstow. I was like, I do not need that on my little happy walk, sunny walk, coastal walk in Dorset. I do not need you to tell me that's happening. And then he said, oh, don't worry, Brooke has saved the day. And then 2 minutes later, Brooke was out. I was like, can you stop? Do not get ahead of the game and feel like, yeah, he's done it. No, he hasn't done it.
I can't imagine you get a load of messages from the Lord either about cricket, and for it to be
Yeah, maybe we'll get him on the guest speaker on the pod at some point. Because it was
I have been trying to recruit him for the cricket team. So
oh, fun. That could be fun. But yeah, I mean, he's got massively into the game. This is a completely Lord Ward chat, but yeah, it's nice to see someone get actively into the Ashes, because I think it is a really good series. But yeah, just the kind of pain of seeing like Bairstow and Stokes are out in this already tense chase, and then it's like, oh god, there's still like 80 to win. But I shouldn't have feared, because Brooke got 75 and Woakes got a lovely 32. And it just looked, from what I didn't watch it live, but it looked just for both of them quite easy.
I think easy is a bit too much. I think
simplest, yeah, but they looked comfortable. Is
like,
what I felt. There were a few ishy moments of top edges and things like that, but
yeah, I think especially early on in Woakes' innings,
yeah,
could have been a few chances. There weren't any drops or anything.
It just kind of went. I saw a couple went off a splice of the bat into middle of fielders and things like that, and a couple of gloves and stuff.
Like it could have been spicier than it needed to be, but he settled down into a sort of match rhythm and got on well with Brooke, and solid partnership. I mean,
and again, Brooke, we mentioned before, almost like we said, needed that exposure at 3, and I think batted in the way that he batted over the winter, I think. And I think really needed that innings in conditions that were a bit spicier. Like I've said before, he scored a lot of his runs on flat wickets. But then to do it in a real pressure crunch situation, because if he goes after Bairstow, I'd say that's it. Like Wood batted fun again at the end. He got 16 off 8 and hit Cummins, I think, for another 6, which is good vibes. And having Woakes and Wood finish it at the end is just pure wholesomeness. But I think if Brooke had gone early or after Bairstow, I don't think any good vibes are going to get you anywhere near that. So I think the way he soaked up that pressure is going to really help him in his career. I think probably one of the most important knocks he's batted, I would say, without being massively over the top. But the whole series is on the line. It's the Ashes, it's at home, it's on a pitch that's doing everything. Stark's got 5 wickets. You're going to Cummins. This is the moment you need to perform, and he stepped up. No, it was good to see, because I was starting to have not massive reservations and doubts, because he's a very talented player, but you just want him to have this kind of innings, and this is what we got.
Like, he's still very early in his Test career, so
Yeah.
it was a very important maturing innings for him. Like, you've seen him in the other games in this series where he's felt like he needed to go at a quicker pace.
Yeah.
But this felt like he was aware of the game situation and could tell what he needed to do, what he needed to play at the time.
Yeah.
I can't really remember what his. No, yeah, his wicket was the nearly.
That was a silly. It is like, it's England. You get so close to like, cool, we've done it. Nah, let's do something silly and make it fun.
But it was like Stark was going for the caution bowl,
And then Cummins went for it as well.
Yeah, so they nearly fucked that up.
Yeah.
So, it was a bad shot in the end, but
yeah,
like, other than that, he batted very well. It's probably one of the better innings for his development as a cricketer.
Yeah.
Overall, like, the other scores in the subcontinent was great, but like, to mature, this is the one he did to push on.
Yeah. Massively, hugely, and when you're behind the game as well, to step up and do that is, from what I watched and what I saw, it was great. And as a Lord Ward would say, it was he saved it, and he'd done the job. But yeah, I think also, to England's favour, it felt as though Cummins didn't really have many people to rely on. Stark obviously bowled really well, got 5 for 78, but Boland looked really ineffective. 0 for 49. I think he's only got 2 wickets in this series compared to all the bucket loads he got at home in last Ashes. I thought they underbowled Mitch Marsh. I thought he was pretty good for this wicket. He got a lot of kind of nip and swing away. And then Todd Murphy only bowled 2 overs, done for 13. When if Lyon had played, Lyon would have bowled probably the bulk of the overs, even though they only bowled 50. And as Broad said after the game, or during the game, that they were going to approach it like a 50-over game. They did it exactly 50 overs. That Lyon would have definitely bowled more in that innings than Todd Murphy did. And I don't know whether that's just the feeling of inexperience or lack of trust, but I don't think it's any fault of Cummins. Because I know that the Australian media will be out, because a fair few of them seem not like Cummins for some reason. I don't understand why. But yeah, I felt like he had his hands tied a little bit, especially when Boland was ineffective as he was. It's where he would have loved, like, a Hazelwood or a Lyon to turn to, but gotta take that.
It's kind of the double-edged sword of the rotation with the seamers. I think he's right to have done it and brought Boland back in.
Yeah.
But like, the only bowler that was really doing anything was Stark, and you can't keep him on.
No, exactly.
Give him a rest every so often.
Yeah.
And then, like, when the 2 other bowlers are on, you're like, when's the next time we can get Stark on?
Anyway, exactly. Yeah, it did have that vibe, didn't it? Yeah. But yeah, but it makes it spicy now, because now it's 2-1, and just the pure wholesome vibes of Wood and Woakes finishing it. Good stuff. Love to see it.
It was very fitting. It was those 2 at the end.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, they've done a lot of kind of media stuff throughout the game as well. Like, they had a little interview, one of those field interview chats where it's just both of them walking around the boundary after like day 1 or something, when Wood was like saying like, Woakes saying, "Oh, you bowled really quick today, didn't you?" And it's like, oh, this is just cute. It's just nice, and just to have them both do it was just so fitting and so deserved. And I think, as Wood said, he's never won a game with England with the bat before, so he really loved that.
With an average strike rate of 250.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously he was player of the match in the end. Obviously 5 for 24, 2 for 66, and 2 vital little innings with the bat as well. Just real good vibes, good to see. So it means it goes 2-1 into Manchester for the next game. I think mostly that covers it. Have you got anything else about the match.
I don't think so. Like,
Yeah, it's just good night, good vibes.
yeah, series on, maybe.
I think series maybe ish so.
I'm
It is.
still getting like doubts that Australia will win at Old Trafford
It'll be it'll be 3-2
to someone.
to someone, because if Australia win the next game, then I think England probably will just bring in random changes and probably steal a win at the Oval like they did in 2019. But if England win next game, I think their momentum is firmly with England. Because Cummins was asked, does this change the momentum of the series? And he was just like, no. And they were like, why? 2-1. So I mean, that's the mentality they're going to have. Manchester. So I think Manchester is a crucial game, obviously. But yeah, I think if England win it, they go on and win the series, and obviously Australia do, then England will win a token one at the end, I'd reckon. So I think 3-2 anyway. But which way? Who will know? We'll tell you on the next episode. But yeah, all around good stuff. Just next game starts next week. I think it's Wednesday next week. It was 9 days after the end of the last one. And England named a unchanged squad for Manchester. So it does mean no folks,
Mm-hmm.
no jokes. But they were never going to bring it. Like they've gone this far. You just know that squad mentality or that McCullum mentality, whatever. That Folks isn't going to come in whilst Bairstow's there. They're going to stick with him unless England lose the next game, and then they give him a break and then bring Folks in, which is just silly. But matches do win your matches.
I would argue when one player isn't playing well, it is probably a good idea to bring in a player who is better than that player at that position.
And probably, and I don't think it's any disrespect to Bairstow's efforts last summer, because he had an incredible summer, but it was such a massive layoff. And I would have 100% have played him in the Ashes first up this time round. But you start to wonder how much is the confidence of his keeping mistakes affecting his batting, and vice versa. Then his batting fails, and then does that go into his keeping? Because he is a confidence player. And I just feel that they're both affecting the other. And I hope that he needs a fun. They need to bat first in the next game. He needs to get like 80 off 60 and just relieve the shackles a bit and feel like he's contributed. And I feel at the moment there was also that a bit of conjecture around one of the catches that Brooke took in the third innings that probably should have been Bairstow's, but was it more a confidence thing? He didn't go for it. I don't know. Whilst you know for sure that you've got much more of a certainty behind the stumps of Folks, and he probably offers as much of the bat at the moment with Bairstow's form. But he's not going to play. It'll be Bairstow. So.
Fine.
Yeah. But yeah, in terms of any other changes, I'm pretty sure it is being confirmed that Anderson will play. That Stokes said before the press conference of this game that they'll get him as fit as they can be to be running in for the James Anderson then at Old Trafford. And I think that would just be a straight swap for Robinson. And just the hope that pitch does what Headingley did.
Yeah, like pretty standard replacement, really. Like I think Robinson getting injured helped Wood and Woakes to not get dropped, and their performances helped with that as well. But
yeah.
like having a player definitely not be available, just cements that play.
Yeah, definitely. Also a little shout out, I think, to Broad as well, who I think's fell really well in this series, and consistently well, getting wickets all at crucial times. And that's now 4 tests on the bounce. I can't see them not playing him with Manchester. So I reckon he's going to play all this series, which for a fast bowler of his age is great. But yeah, that kind of wraps it up. Quick switch over to the women's Ashes, which is also still alive. I thought this was done.
I think I said jokingly last step we're gonna smash them from this game on, and I mean,
what's happened? Yeah, you had an amazing game at the Oval. and then an equally great game at Lords. Each time the crowd's getting bigger. I think it was 21,000 at Lords and it was 20,000 at the Oval. They won by 3 runs at the Oval, which I think it doesn't quite tell the story because I think Perry got a couple of sixes towards the end, which got it more close than it would have been, even though the game was already gone. But they won by 3 runs and then won at Lords by 5 wickets, which was, again, a great game. Danny Gibson just doing a cheeky reverse sweep first ball to get the 4 runs needed when it could have been squeaky bum time. But yeah, good performances all around. Alice Capsey batted really, really well, got 46 or 23. Sophie Eccleston always in the wickets. But yeah, just, and also a main thing to note, that is the first series I think the Australia women have lost since records began, for as long as I can remember, which is a hell of an achievement to, win that individual T20 series against the best team in the world. It's brilliant. So they're currently playing at the moment as well in the first of the 3 ODIs, again, which they need to win every single game of. But yeah, from what I've seen, it carries on to be as closely fought as the men's series.
Yeah, like it finally feels like there's a team that can actually match Australia.
Yeah.
At the minute, and like both teams are playing really well as well. Like these aren't like the men's team where they'll have ups and downs. Like they're just seeming to play really well throughout.
Mm-hmm.
Like in T20, you're going to have weird clumps of wickets happen just because it's T20s and you're going
exactly
for it. But like there's some consistency in the quality of games, and it's really great to see.
Yeah,
like they're
just
really
2 quality
close
sides
games as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I think they're very evenly matched. And just the support as well that is there for every game. Like all 3 ODIs as well have been sold out, which I think is the first for women's international games. And that's terrific. First one's at Bristol. Pretty sure next one's at the Aegeus Bowl or whatever bowl, the Hampshire Bowl. At Southampton, and the final one is at Taunton. But yeah, so they've all been sold out, and it's just great to see grounds like the Oval and Lords as well, especially being full to rafters. It's fantastic advertisement for the game and fantastic advertisement for a series. So yeah, fingers crossed. They're currently playing at the moment. Australia are at 79 for 2. So we'll keep an eye on that one, and hopefully when we come to our next episode, that series will also be alive still. And hopefully the fans will be as well. Because how good would that be that you go into the last game of both series and both Ashes series are up for grabs? That's exactly what you want. And I think that really helps capture a new audience for both young boys and young girls. It's just great. It's good cricket and it's fun cricket to watch, and I'm enjoying them both immensely.
Like, it's really good that the men's isn't overshadowing
No,
the
not at all.
series as well. Like it's standing on its own and it's providing proper good things. Like some proper mad shots as well, especially I think Healy did a little flick into the leg side for 6. I don't know if it was I had it noted down because it was a mad shot. I think it might have been Capsy. Yeah,
If it's probably Capsy,
Capsy
last
lined
game.
up to do like a conventional scoop, but the line of the ball was different, so she sort of adjusted to do a
the other scoop
reverse sort of ramp, and it was mad.
Scenes.
And, like Mooney is just mad good as well.
Just I mean, Australia are just, they're nuts. You just go through their batting team and that's why it's such an achievement to win a series against them, because Mooney, Healy, McGrath, Gardner, Perry coming in at freaking 5, and it's like she's been one of the best cricketers for Australia, and it's like, oh man. But yeah, it's great stuff, great to watch, great to see, and fingers crossed it goes down to the final game at Taunton with all to play for, because that's just what the series deserves, I think. But yeah, I think otherwise that might be all from me in terms of cricket to chat. Is there any more from you, Jamie?
I mean, I've got stats from the men's Ashes series
Okay.
to
Yeah,
show
yeah.
you how close it is.
Yeah.
Like total runs, England
Oh yeah, I've seen this.
1,809, Australia 1,850, which I think you can count in extras.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wickets lost 55 for England, 58 for Australia, which I thought was interesting
Yeah.
that Australia have lost more.
Yeah.
Average England 32.89, Australia 31.8, was it? Also 89, which again, interesting that England have got the better
Yeah.
of that. And extras scored England 99 versus Australia's 148.
Let's tell a
So
story that, doesn't it? Like you've got the finest of margins and everything, and then well over 50 extras.
yeah, and the
That tells
total
us all.
runs difference is about 40.
Yeah. Yeah, where do they come from? So yeah,
Uh,
your vendetta against extras is well justified. Um,
I
but
mean,
yeah,
they should be a bit lower now that someone isn't playing
yeah,
the next match.
I think they were better in this game.
Yeah,
So fingers crossed that can continue. Um, they didn't bowl a single no ball in the second innings of Headingley. You'll be happy to know.
I mean,
7 extras.
the
That's all
person
it
who's
was.
also not playing in the Old
That's
Trafford
the
game
point.
also didn't play that innings.
Yeah. Cool. Right. So that will wrap it up then for us. I don't think there's much else happening um necessarily that affects the Ashes chat in the crick world. Um there is some other stuff going on, but when we come back for the main podcast, maybe that's still happening. We'll be back for the next Ashes chat it'll be about 2 weeks now. 2 week break.
Vic, I can play some Ghost of Tsushima without like having work cricket into it. That's great. Other than the match that we're playing, but then like,
This is true. Yeah, we have our first game this Friday, hopefully, when we're playing. The Whippets are playing their first T20 game in London. So we'll give a little review of that as well. It's your wicket keeping debut, which we're very excited to see. Fun. Yeah, if you want to know how that game goes, you can follow us. But where can people follow us?
just not Crick Pod, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, other places.
There is another place now because we're now also on Threads.
Oh, all right.
Which is the Instagram, Twitter, basically. I've done 2 tweets because I also just can't be bothered. Um, but yeah, if you want to follow us there, I might, or some people might actually work out how that actually works. But we'll see. Follow us there if you want. You don't have to.
What do you call a post on Threads? Is it just like a needle? What?
I don't. Gonna put my needle up on Threads. Yeah, if you want, check us out there. But yeah, we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Ashes.
Lol.